I really don't understand. Y'all coming for 6ix9ine. I don't know what they gonna say. 6ix9ine got into it with him, put a hit on the life insurance. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna say. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying, whatever the situation is foul, gang.
The engine of Ariela Meia Palano's G-Wagon was still humming when police found her, but the woman inside was gone, her body crumpled behind the steering wheel like a tragic headline made flesh. The cross-county parkway in Mount Vernon, usually nothing more than a commuter blur of gray pavement, had become a crime scene lit by the cold glow of flares and camera flashes. Detectives moved quickly, voices low, as if they knew this wasn't random chaos. The whispers traveled faster than the official statement. Ariella hadn't just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. She'd been marked, targeted, and the hip-hop world knew exactly why. A glamorous face from 6ix9ine's circle had been wiped out in a way that screamed message, not accident.
Now, police also told us that an autopsy was planned for Sunday night, and they were hoping to release more information at some point this morning or later today, so we're just waiting on that. As soon as it happens, we'll be sure to let you know. We're in Mount Vernon, Westchester County. Let's go back to the studio.
This wasn't the kind of loss that fades into a vague rest in peace post. Ariella had more than 500,000 followers hanging on her every pose and smile, a nightlife career that kept her face in the right places, and a music video cameo with 6ix9ine that sealed her as one of his closest confidants. She was the Queen of New York, his own words in shaky tribute the night the news broke. But behind those glowing Instagram stories, the undertone was undeniable. She was executed in a city that has long thrived on score settling. If they couldn't reach him, they'd hurt him through her. That's how the whispers painted it. We couldn't ignore the timing. Just weeks earlier, the rapper was back in headlines for violating probation, old enemy sniffing blood in the water. Then suddenly Ariella, radiant and seemingly untouchable, was found slumped over in a car that looked more like a tomb.
Yo, so a couple days ago, man, 6ix9ine girlfriend was sitting in the car. This is like crazy, gang.
Her passing forced us to rewind the reel of Tekashi's chaos, back to the feud that started it all. Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine, two names that once shared a hit song, turned their collaboration into open warfare. It began online, but the lines quickly blurred. Trippie mocked 6ix9ine's legal cases, blasted him for surrounding himself with men facing charges, and even threw XXXTentacion into the fire, accusing them both of contradictions. You're friends with a dude that went to jail for beating a woman he spat on Instagram. Meanwhile, Tekashi turned jealousy into strategy, staking out Trippie's hotel with a crew and sending fists flying. Later in court, Tekashi admitted it himself. He had orchestrated an attack, followed Trippie down the highway with 15 men, and turned a private beef into something that looked like organized warfare. From that moment, neither man could escape the crosshairs. And here's where it gets darker. While Ariella's body was carried away under a white sheet, the street started buzzing with another revelation. Trippie wasn't even free to react. He's already behind bars, locked up on charges that stripped away the bright-haired rebel image and left him caged like a trophy. Some believed that prison meant safety, but those who know the politics of a cell block will tell you it's the opposite. Word spread like contraband cigarettes. There had been an attempt on Trippie's life inside. Shadows moving in the yard, a blade rumored to have flashed, guards rushing in before the deed was done. Nothing official on the record, but too many whispers to ignore. They tried to finish him where cameras don't roll, and the question we're forced to ask is chilling. Was this just fallout from his long feud with Tekashi, or was it tied directly to the same undercurrent that left Ariella bleeding in her luxury car?
So 6ix9ine was telling. He was hanging out with these cops before they even went, like he was telling, the drivers telling on him, everybody's telling on each other, right? So he's sitting there. That's the biggest excuse. That's what Nicky Barnes, back in the day, he was on the cover of Times. He told, because his man was with his wife. He was saying he was with my wife. But then again, he told on 100 guys.
Prison has always been painted as a place where reputations are stripped away, but for someone like Trippie, his name is currency and a curse. The man who once screamed hooks into festival crowds is now screaming to stay alive. Rival crews see him not as a convict, but as a symbol, a walking payback plan. Some say the attempt on his life was orchestrated by the same circles that have stalked 6ix9ine for years. Others insist it was internal politics, inmates jostling for dominance, knowing that a high-profile scalp brings power behind bars. Either way, it wasn't random. The choreography was too neat, too pointed. It looked like the continuation of a play that began long before he wore a jumpsuit. Imagine the scene, dusk settling over the yard, the sound of sneakers scuffing against cracked concrete, and then the sudden rush of movement. A group forms around Trippie, tension snapping the air like an electric wire. Someone lunges, another shouts. Guards blow whistles, bodies scatter. Within minutes, it's over, but the story spreads, distorted with every retelling until it becomes less about what actually happened and more about what everyone thinks it meant. In the prison rumor mill, perception is power, and the perception is simple. Trippie's life is on borrowed time.
The day 6ix9ine sat on that stand. No!
Oh, man.
You remember, if you're watching the story, they taking him to court in bulletproof vests. They acted like he was telling on El Chapo. He put a lot of good people in jail, man.
Facts.
The irony is suffocating. Trippie once thought his greatest danger was Tekashi taunting him on Instagram or ambushing him outside a hotel. Now, inside a fortress of steel and stone, he's more vulnerable than ever. The bars don't protect him, they make him a sitting target. And as the outside world reels from Ariella's targeted hit, we're left connecting dots. Was her execution the spark and the prison attack the echo? Or was it all part of a synchronized message? Nobody is untouchable. Not the women, not the rappers, not even the ones already locked away.
Yo, what's the event in hip-hop that broke the camel's back? Pause. To make it to where you could snitch. And if you make good music or something, you could still live out here in hip-hop. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back in hip-hop, where we had a code and there is no code no more?
We have to remember this feud has never been just music. It's a tangle of jealousy, betrayal, and public humiliation stretched out over years. Trippie calling out Tekashi for hypocrisy, Tekashi sneering back, orchestrating attacks, even pulling the trigger of online shame against festival bookers who wouldn't touch his rivals. Each insult became a seed of violence. Each Instagram live turned into a surveillance tape for enemies waiting to act. And when Tekashi took the stand, pointing fingers at former friends, the entire ecosystem of loyalty imploded. In that testimony, he didn't just give up names. He handed out targets. Ariella's G-Wagon became one of those targets. Trippie's prison yard nearly did too. We look at it now and it feels less like coincidence, more like choreography. A feud that once thrived on music and memes has mutated into a shadow war, spilling across both free streets and locked corridors. And if this really is a chessboard, Ariella's life may have been just one move. Tragic, devastating, but not the final piece. The attempt on Trippie inside those walls suggests there are more moves coming, more bodies on the line, more reminders that what started as a rap beef has evolved into something the system itself can barely contain.
We're still trying to gather a lot of facts from her recent activity leading up to this point. So relatively soon after that we discovered the vehicle, that the crime took place a short time before.
And just when the streets thought Ariella's tragedy had reached its end, something eerie started to happen. Her phone was nowhere to be found, yet activity pulsed across her accounts. Encrypted apps lighting up, messages seen but never answered, ghostly footprints in the digital sand. Friends swore she'd been gone for days, but still, someone or something was clicking around in her world. We heard from insiders that her last conversations hinted at receipts she was holding, files that could shake reputations. It felt like a phantom typing from beyond, or maybe a cleanup crew working overtime to scrub away what she left behind. If Ariella carried secrets, they weren't buried with her body, they were hanging in the cloud, waiting for the wrong pair of eyes to crack them open. That's where the paranoid explodes. 6ix9ine, the man whose name is tattooed all over Ariella's story, suddenly starts spiraling. Erratic posts, then silence, flashy appearances followed by vanishing acts. The same Instagram account that once mocked the world now flips into shaky grief, scattered words that sound less like mourning and more like panic. The Queen of New York, he called her, but his eyes told another story. Was he crying for his friend, or was he terrified of what she might have left behind? Industry veterans whisper that she had more than selfies in that camera roll. Rumors of Ariella's secret files float around like cursed treasure. Proof of conversations, evidence of backroom deals, maybe even records of who ordered the attacks that shadowed Tekashi's rise. If that cache exists, her ending wasn't just cruel, it was tactical.
Like, what is y'all doing, man? I understand whatever he did, like I always say, man, get your man. Get your man, get your man, get your man. If y'all looking for 6ix9ine, if y'all thought that was revenge, that definitely some revenge to hurt him. But that ain't no real man. That ain't no standing no business ass nothing, or whoever did that, or whatever y'all got going on. I don't know.
We've watched 6ix9ine build his career on chaos, but this is different. His bravado looks fractured, his jokes feel forced, his bravest videos vanish within hours. Those close to him claim he barely leaves his mansion without 2 cars tailing him, that his phone changes every week, and that he's become obsessed with who has access to Ariella's accounts. Some even swear he's been offered buyouts, millions of dollars to recover or suppress whatever evidence she tucked away. Whether or not that's true, the fear in his movements is undeniable. He isn't just paranoid that someone is coming for him. He's paranoid that Ariella's ghost is still speaking and her voice could bring everything crashing down. And yet, in the middle of this, law enforcement goes quiet. The Westchester County Police issued a bland line about her ending being not a random act, then folded their hands. Detectives keep lips sealed, no press briefings, no clear suspects. That silence only feeds the frenzy, because while official statements dry up, the digital underground is buzzing. Threads connect her Wagon to Tekashi's ongoing cases. Comments flood her last Instagram post, demanding answers. Fans speculate that she wasn't just an influencer, but an insider, someone who knew too much about Tekashi's network and his enemies. When the authorities stay silent, the people start filling the blanks themselves, and those blanks are painted in blood and betrayal.
Right, Lisa, the woman was found inside the car here along the Cross County Parkway just before exit 7, which is Broad Street. That's just where we are. So Westchester County Police still has, they started getting phone calls Sunday morning around 8 o'clock about a disabled car that was on this side of the parkway. Officers arrived to find a woman dead behind the wheel of the car.
This contrast between silence and noise is chilling. On one side, we have investigators treating the case like classified material. On the other, we have the streets, podcasters, bloggers, even rival rappers, tying her ending to every past feud Tekashi ever lit. The digital gossip machine doesn't care about due process. It thrives on conspiracy, on the idea that Ariella was silenced to keep the receipts buried. The fact that her phone activity continued after her passing, to them, that's proof. Proof that someone is erasing, rewriting, controlling the narrative before it spirals out of their grip. And if that's true, then the war isn't just physical. It's being fought on hard drives and private servers, too. The darker theory buzzing in the underground isn't about texts or phones at all, but about Ariella's position in the nightlife ecosystem. She wasn't just a model or a friendly face in 6ix9ine's videos. She was a fixture in the clubs where music executives, promoters, and hustlers made handshake deals worth millions of dollars in untraceable money. She saw who was paying whom, which tables were getting comped, and which performers were suddenly unavailable because of quiet bans. To some, Ariella wasn't just collateral damage. She was a witness. And when you're a witness in an industry that feeds on silence, your life expectancy drops dramatically.
Y'all crazy, man. Y'all crazy. That's really crazy, man.
That's where the whispers of an industry blacklist come into play. Behind the glossy charts and streaming numbers, there's long been talk of certain names being quietly frozen out. Rappers who couldn't book venues, who suddenly lost endorsements, who found their songs mysteriously missing from playlists. Officially, it was about bad behavior or security concerns. But insiders claim it was often about who they crossed, which gang ties bled into business, or which secrets they threatened to let slip. Ariella, with her close access to both the artists and the gatekeepers, might have held the kind of knowledge that made her too dangerous to leave unchecked. Consider the timing. 6ix9ine's career has always operated at the intersection of spectacle and scandal, and Trippie's fall from grace only deepened that fracture. But Ariella's name never surfaced in feuds until now. Suddenly, after months of nightclub chatter about her moving in circles far beyond her influencer image, she ends up silenced. If she was about to confirm what many suspected, that labels and street crews share more than just profits, then taking her out wasn't about petty revenge. It was about protecting an empire that cannot risk exposure. The pattern is chillingly familiar. In past decades, other stars have faced sudden cancellations, vanished tour dates, or unexplained legal tangles after stepping on the wrong toes. Industry veterans mutter about the invisible red list that can derail a career overnight. If Ariella had stumbled onto evidence of how that blacklist is enforced, whether through financial chokeholds or something more brutal, her position shifted from glamorous insider to liability. And liabilities don't get warnings, they get erased.
And now to that upsetting discovery on a local parkway. A woman found in a car in Westchester. News 12's Lisa LaRocca is in Mount Vernon Forest this morning.
Nightlife itself is a breeding ground for these hidden wars. Clubs like the ones Ariella worked in aren't just playgrounds for celebrities. They're where investors launder reputations, where promoters test loyalties, and where security guards double as enforcers. Ariella, balancing tables, conversations, and alliances, may have known exactly which crews were cutting deals with which label. Once you connect those dots, the picture stops looking like random street beef and starts resembling corporate strategy enforced with violence. We also have to weigh the money trail. Hip-hop today isn't just an art form, it's a billion-dollar engine. Every canceled tour date, every blocked collaboration shifts millions of dollars. If Ariella had proof that certain stars were being intentionally kept off the stage as part of this covert blacklist, then her silence benefits not just rival rappers, but the very executives who stand to lose revenue if the truth comes out. In that light, her ending becomes less about one man's feud and more about preserving the machinery of an entire industry.
We lost the code in hip-hop. Now, is it played out? I watch other podcasts like, yo, that don't matter no more, this, that. Does it not matter no more? And I believe 6ix9ine, when he gave guys 20 years in jail. All the guys he was like, oh, but he f***ed my wife. Oh, but he did. That means nothing.
This theory also explains the eerie quiet from investigators. If Ariela's case touches not only on violent crews, but also on corporate boardrooms, then the pressure to keep things quiet would be immense. Law enforcement might drag their feet not just because it's a complex case, but because digging too deep risks exposing relationships between mainstream entertainment and the underworld. The less said publicly, the safer everyone at the top feels. And so, Ariela's story evolves from influencer tragedy to something far more sinister. Instead of being remembered only as 6ix9ine's friend, she becomes a symbol of how dangerous it is to know too much. The so-called blacklist doesn't just silence artists. It may silence anyone orbiting close enough to expose its reality. If Ariella was on the verge of revealing those truths, then her loss was not just personal. It was political, it was business, and it was a reminder that in the rap game, the most valuable commodity isn't fame or streams, it's silence. The irony is impossible to ignore. Ariella, once seen as a radiant accessory in 6ix9ine's flashy videos, may have become the most dangerous player in his orbit. Her absence leaves him hollow, but her secrets may still be alive, waiting to surface, and if they do, his enemies won't need to raise a hand. Her files alone could finish what bullets and ambushes couldn't. That's the nightmare he's living in now, not just that she's gone, but that she might still speak.
There's no such thing as a credible rat. But sending the bullshit shoot the out of
He told on
They
16.
set him up, though. They altered the tape.
So where does that leave us? With a rapper in hiding, an influencer turned phantom, and a prison yard that nearly claimed Trippie Red in a strike that looks suspiciously coordinated. If Ariella's final moments and Trippie's near brush are connected, then we're not watching two isolated tragedies. We're watching the opening moves of something bigger, a vendetta stretching from luxury SUVs to concrete cells, from whispered passwords to Instagram lives. And if that's true, then the most terrifying part is this: the story isn't over, it's just heating up. The next headline could be louder, bloodier, impossible to ignore. Who do we think is really pulling the strings, and how far are they willing to go? Let us know what you think. Stay safe out there, and until next time, keep your eyes open.